The arrival of the cargo vessel Iron Phoenix drifted through the void between stars, its massive hull packed with supplies destined for the frontier colonies of the Centauri system. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, watching the stars slowly wheel past the viewport. She had been running cargo routes for 15 years, and this particular run should have been routine. Food processors for New Geneva, medical supplies for Port Horizon, mining equipment for the asteroid stations. Nothing glamorous, but essential work that kept the outer colonies alive. Elena was a woman who commanded respect through competence rather than intimidation. At 42, she had weathered every crisis space could throw at a cargo hauler. Her crew trusted her completely because she had never let them down. The Iron Phoenix might not be the newest or fastest ship in the fleet, but under Elena's command, it always delivered its cargo and brought its crew home safe. Chief Engineer Tom Bradley emerged from the lower decks, wiping grease from his hands with a worn rag. Tom was a genius with machinery, the kind of person who could make a broken engine sing opera if he put his mind to it. He had joined Elena's crew 3 years ago after getting tired of the corporate politics on the big military vessels. Here on the Phoenix, he could focus on what he loved most, making things work better than they were designed to. Navigator Priya Sharma called out from her station near the front of the bridge. Priya was young, barely 25, but she had an intuitive grasp of space navigation that impressed even veteran pilots. She could calculate jump coordinates in her head while most navigators needed computer assistance. Her sharp mind and quick thinking had saved them from more than one navigational hazard during their runs together. The normal routine of the bridge was interrupted when Priya's instruments began chirping urgent warnings. She frowned at her displays, running quick diagnostics to make sure her equipment was functioning properly. What she saw made her heart race. "Captain," Priya called out, her voice tight with concern. "I'm reading something massive on our sensors. It just appeared about 2,000 kilometers off our starboard bow." Elena moved to Priya's station, studying the sensor readouts over her navigator's shoulder. The contact was enormous, easily 5 times the size of their cargo vessel. But something was wrong with the readings. The object appeared to be tumbling slowly through space, and its energy signature was erratic. Tom joined them at the navigation console, his experienced eye taking in the technical details. "That's not a natural object," he said grimly. "Look at those geometric patterns in the hull configuration. That's definitely artificial, but the design is like nothing I've ever seen before." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years of running cargo between the colonies, she had never encountered anything like this. Humanity had been exploring space for over a century, but they had never found any sign of intelligent alien life. Until now. "Priya, can you get a better reading on its trajectory?" Elena asked. Priya's fingers flew over her controls, refining the sensor data and running trajectory calculations. What she found made her face go pale. "Captain, based on its current course and velocity, that ship is going to impact the Kepler colony in approximately 18 hours. The Kepler colony was home to nearly 50,000 people. It was one of the most successful agricultural settlements in the Centauri system, providing food for dozens of smaller outposts. If that massive, alien vessel crashed into the planet, the devastation would be unimaginable." Elena immediately moved to the communication station. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the cargo ship Iron Phoenix. Please respond. You are on a collision course with an inhabited world. Please acknowledge and adjust your trajectory immediately." They waited in tense silence, but no response came. Elena tried again on different frequencies, broadcasting in multiple languages and even mathematical sequences that any intelligent species should recognize. Still nothing. Tom was studying the sensor readings more closely. "Captain, I don't think they can respond. Look at these power signatures. Their main systems are failing. Hull breaches in at least 6 locations. Whatever happened to them, they're in serious trouble." The implications hit Elena like a physical blow. This wasn't just first contact with an alien species. This was a rescue operation. Somewhere on that crippled vessel, there might be survivors fighting for their lives. And in less than 18 hours, they would all be dead when their ship crashed into Kepler colony. "Options?" Elena asked her crew. Priya was already running calculations. We could try to alter their trajectory using our tractor beam, but our beam isn't designed for something that massive. At best, we might be able to slow them down slightly. Tom shook his head. Even if we could move them, we don't have enough power to change their course significantly. And if we get too close with our tractor beam, we might destabilize their hull further. Elena stared at the alien vessel on the main screen. It was beautiful in a way, despite the obvious damage. The hull had an organic flowing quality, as if it had been grown rather than built. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with their own inner light. This was humanity's first glimpse of another intelligent species, and they were dying. There has to be something we can do, Elena said firmly. Tom, what about using our cargo handling equipment? We've got industrial manipulator arms, magnetic clamps, even some of the mining gear we're delivering to the asteroid stations. Tom's eyes lit up as he considered the possibilities. It's crazy enough that it might work. If we could attach some of our cargo containers to their hull and then use the containers' maneuvering thrusters, we might be able to create enough lateral force to nudge them off their collision course. Priya was already calculating the physics. The mass ratios are all wrong, but if we could create a series of small course corrections over the next 12 hours, we might be able to deflect them enough to miss the planet. Elena felt a surge of hope. It was a desperate plan, but it was something. Do it. Tom, I want you to prep our cargo handling systems. Priya, plot us an intercept course. We're going to save them. As the Iron Phoenix changed course toward the alien vessel, Elena sent an emergency transmission to Kepler Colony and the nearest Colonial Authority station. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the cargo vessel Iron Phoenix. We have encountered a disabled alien spacecraft on collision course with Kepler Colony. We are attempting rescue and deflection operations. Request immediate evacuation protocols for Kepler Colony and any available assistance. The response came back quickly from Colonial Authority. Iron Phoenix, this is command. Are you certain about alien contact? Recommend you maintain safe distance and wait for military support. Elena's jaw tightened. Command, there's no time to wait. That ship will impact Kepler in 17 hours. If there are survivors aboard, they'll be dead long before military support arrives. We're proceeding with rescue operations. Tom was already suiting up for spacewalk operations. The plan was simple in concept, but dangerous in execution. They would approach the alien vessel carefully, attach cargo containers loaded with maneuvering thrusters to strategic points on the alien hull, and then use coordinated thrust to gradually alter the ship's trajectory. As they drew closer to the alien vessel, more details became visible. The ship was even more massive than their sensors had indicated. Its hull was covered in what looked like living tissue, pulsing faintly with bioluminescent patterns. Sections of the hull had been torn open, revealing complex internal structures that seemed to blend organic and mechanical elements. Captain, Priya called out, excitement in her voice. I'm detecting life signs. Faint, but definitely there. The ship isn't just damaged, it's some kind of biological vessel, and parts of it are still alive. Elena felt her heart race. They weren't just saving a ship, they were saving living beings. The first contact between humanity and an alien species was happening right here, right now, and it was a rescue mission. Tom launched in a modified cargo pod carrying the first of the thruster assemblies. As he approached the alien hull, his voice came back over the comm system. Captain, this is incredible. The hull material is warm to the touch, and I can feel vibrations through my suit. It's like the whole ship is breathing. Working quickly, but carefully, Tom attached the first thruster assembly to what appeared to be a structurally sound section of the alien hull. The organic material seemed to respond to his presence, glowing slightly brighter where he touched it. Back on the Phoenix, Elena and Priya monitored the operation while keeping a careful watch on the alien ship's trajectory. They had 15 hours left before impact, and they needed to make every minute count. The solution is, Tom worked to attach the second thruster assembly. Something unexpected happened. The alien ship's hull began to glow more brightly, and patterns of light started flowing across its surface like liquid electricity. Then, for the first time since they had detected the vessel, they received a transmission. It wasn't audio or visual. Instead, the message seemed to appear directly in their minds, translated somehow into concepts they could understand. The sensation was overwhelming and strange, but the meaning was clear. Help. Dying. Children sleeping. Cannot wake them. Elena gripped the edge of her command chair. Did everyone else hear that? Tom's voice came back over the comm, filled with wonder. Captain, the moment I touched the hull with the thruster assembly, I could feel something, like a presence, trying to communicate. They're alive in there, but they're fading fast. Priya was scanning the alien vessel with every sensor at their disposal. Captain, I'm detecting what look like stasis chambers deep inside the ship. Multiple life signs, but they're all weakening. It's like their life support system is failing. The alien presence in their minds grew stronger, more desperate. Images flashed through their consciousness. A beautiful world with crystal cities and floating gardens, then darkness and destruction as their sun began to die. The aliens had fled their dying system in great bioships, carrying their entire civilization in suspended animation while they searched for a new home. This ship, the Whisper of Stars, had been damaged by a stellar storm during their long journey. Their biomechanical systems were failing, and the sleeping passengers were slowly dying. The ship had been drifting for months, its damaged navigation systems finally bringing it to this system where it detected the signs of life on Kepler colony. Elena felt tears streaming down her face as she experienced the aliens' desperate hope. They hadn't meant to threaten the human colony. They were just trying to find somewhere safe to land to save their sleeping children and elders. But their damaged ship was falling toward the planet, and they were too weak to control it. Tom, forget the thruster plan, Elena called out. We need to get aboard that ship and help them directly. Tom was already thinking along the same lines. Captain, our medical supplies might be compatible with their biosystems. And if their ship is partially organic, maybe we can help heal it somehow. Elena made a decision that would change the course of human history. We're going aboard. Tom, bring the portable medical kit and some of our biosynthesis equipment. Priya, you're with us. If we can't save them from out here, we'll save them from the inside. The airlock connection between the Phoenix and the alien vessel was a challenge, but Tom's engineering skills proved up to the task. He managed to create a temporary seal between their mechanical systems and the alien ship's organic hull, allowing them to board safely. Inside the Whisper of Stars, the three humans found themselves in a world unlike anything they had ever imagined. The corridors were lined with living walls that pulsed gently with internal light. The air was warm and humid, filled with a sweet scent like blooming flowers. Everything around them was alive, from the floor beneath their feet to the ceiling above their heads. The alien presence guided them through the ship toward the stasis chambers. Along the way, they passed sections where the biomechanical systems had failed, leaving areas dark and cold. But they also saw the ship's attempts to heal itself, new growth trying to bridge damaged areas and restore function. In the central chamber they found them. Hundreds of stasis pods, each containing a sleeping alien. The beings were beautiful in their own way, tall and graceful with translucent skin that showed the flow of their circulatory systems. Their faces were peaceful, but many of the pods were showing critical failure warnings in symbols that somehow made sense to the humans. Elena approached the nearest failing pod and placed her hand on its surface. Immediately, she felt the alien. Inside, a young being whose life force was flickering like a candle in the wind. Without thinking, she opened her mind and heart, projecting every feeling of hope and determination she possessed. The pod systems responded, drawing strength from her emotions and using them to boost the failing life support. The young aliens' vital signs stabilized. Tom and Priya quickly followed Elena's example, moving from pod to pod and sharing their human vitality with the dying aliens. They discovered that the biomechanical systems of the ship could actually interface with human neural patterns, using their thoughts and emotions as a power source. Working together, they began to stabilize the failing stasis chambers. But they soon realized that this was only a temporary solution. The ship's main biocore was still dying, and without it, all their efforts would be for nothing. Priya had an idea. "Captain, what if we could transfer some of our ship's power to their biocore? Not electrical power, but life force energy. If the ship can use our thoughts and emotions, maybe it can use our ship's fusion reactor as a template to restart its own systems." It was a wild theory, but they were running out of time. Elena had Tom establish a power coupling between the Phoenix and the alien vessel, while she and Priya worked to create a neural link between the two ships' systems. The process was exhausting. Elena felt her own life force being drawn into the alien vessel, helping to kickstart its failing biocore. Tom channeled his love of engineering and his desire to fix broken things into the ship's repair systems. Priya shared her navigational instincts and her love of exploring the unknown, helping the ship remember how to find its way through space. Slowly, miraculously, the Whisper of Stars began to heal. Its bioluminescent patterns grew brighter, damaged sections started to regenerate, and the failing stasis pods stabilized one by one. The ship's trajectory began to change as its navigation systems came back online. With 2 hours to spare before the projected impact, the alien vessel achieved a stable orbit around Kepler Colony instead of crashing into it. The sleeping passengers were safe and the ship was no longer dying. The alien presence in their minds was filled with gratitude and wonder. They had never encountered beings like humans before, creatures who would risk their own lives for complete strangers. The concept of sacrificing for others without expecting anything in return was new to them, and they found it beautiful. Elena, Tom, and Priya returned to the Phoenix exhausted but triumphant. As they watched the Whisper of Stars settle into orbit, they knew they had just witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The aliens, who called themselves the Ethereals, remained in communication with the humans as they gradually awakened their passengers from stasis. They had been searching for a new home for generations, and they found the Kepler system to be perfect for their needs. But more than that, they had found something they hadn't expected: friends. Over the following weeks, as news of the first contact spread throughout human space, Elena and her crew found themselves at the center of a diplomatic revolution. The Ethereals shared their knowledge of biotechnology and sustainable living, while humans shared their expertise in mechanical engineering and resource management. The Iron Phoenix, once just a cargo hauler, became the first human vessel to carry both human and ethereal crew members on joint missions throughout the galaxy. Elena, Tom, and Priya had proven that the best of humanity wasn't found in weapons or conquest, but in compassion, creativity, and the willingness to help others in need. The universe had become a much more interesting place, and humanity had taken its first steps toward becoming something greater than they had ever imagined possible. All because when faced with the choice between safety and sacrifice, they had chosen to risk everything to save strangers among the stars.